World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Good day to all of our listeners here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This is World News in 5 and I'm your host, Steph Vicente. A threat by United States President Donald Trump to impose fresh tariffs on 8 allies opposed to his proposed takeover of Greenland has drawn condemnation from European leaders. The BBC reports British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said the move was completely wrong, while French President Emmanuel Macron called it unacceptable. The comments came after Trump announced a 10% tariff on goods from Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, and Finland would come into force on February 1 but could later rise to 25% and would last until a deal was reached. President Trump insists the autonomous Danish territory is critical for U.S. security and has now ruled out taking it by force. Following Trump's threats, the European Union called an emergency meeting on Sunday involving ambassadors from the EU's 27 countries, as reported by Reuters. Meanwhile, thousands of people took to the streets in Greenland and Denmark on Saturday in protest at the proposed U.S. takeover. Greenland is sparsely populated but resource-rich, and its location between North America and the Arctic makes it well-placed for early warning systems in the event of missile attacks and for monitoring vessels in the region. In other news overseas, Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has admitted that thousands of people were killed during more than 2 weeks of nationwide unrest in Iran. In a televised address, CNN reports Khamenei blamed the deaths on U.S. President Donald Trump, accusing him of openly encouraging protesters by promising American military support. Khamenei described Trump as a criminal and said he was responsible for both the casualties and the damage caused during the protests, which began in late December over severe economic hardships. The Iranian leader did not mention allegations of violence by security forces, despite reports from witnesses and human rights groups. According to the US-based human rights activist news agency, more than 3,000 people have been killed, though this figure has not been independently verified. In his speech, Khamenei labeled protesters as rioters, dividing them into 2 groups: those he said were backed by the United States and Israel, and young people he described as misled and manipulated. And finally, a journalist in Taiwan has been detained over allegations of bribing military officers to obtain sensitive information for people from mainland China. According to the Associated Press, Taiwan's Xiaotou District Prosecutor's Office said a court ordered the detention of a television reporter along with 5 current and former military officers. The journalist was identified only by the surname Lin in the official statement. Broadcaster CTI-TV later confirmed that one of its reporters, Lin Chen-yo, was among those detained. The network said it is not aware of the full details of the case and called for a fair judicial process. Prosecutors allege the reporter paid military officers small to moderate sums of money in exchange for providing information to individuals from China. Authorities did not say who those individuals were or whether they were connected to the Chinese government. As part of the investigation, authorities raided several locations linked to the reporter and 9 current and former military personnel on Friday. CTI-TV said its news offices were not searched. Investigators are looking into possible violations of national security and corruption laws, including the illegal disclosure of confidential information. According to his social media profile, Lin works as a political reporter and news anchor covering Taiwan's legislature. And that concludes today's edition of World News in 5 for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Good day. This has been Steph Vicente. Good day and stay safe, everyone.
World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.